Let's face it, email is a fact of life. The average employee in the US receives 125 emails per day. According to research by Radicati, there are 3.9 billion email accounts worldwide, and that number is increasing.
That's more than half of the world's population. SendMail Incorporated found that 64% of professionals complain that email creates tension, confusion, and other negative consequences in their busy workdays. So what can you do to avoid being a part of the problem? Well, it's pretty simple. You can write better emails and write fewer emails. In this course, we'll talk about ways to write effective emails that communicate the right message. You can also make better choices about when to send an email versus using another form of communication. Email is not always the best choice.
Now I'm wondering if I send too many emails.
You know, I think most of us do. First, let's look at why we send emails. Most emails serve a specific purpose. That purpose may be to inform, inquire, or seek input, sell, or persuade. Typically, your emails will fall into one or more of these purposes.
Wait a minute. Aren't sell and persuade the same thing?
Not necessarily. It's true when you try to sell something, you're trying to persuade someone to buy it. But persuasion may be about convincing someone to follow a new process or accept an unpopular change in the work environment.
Well, should you address an unpopular change in an email?
Probably not. Sometimes we're tempted to avoid face-to-face conversations in those types of situations. When the message is going to be highly unpopular, the topic is complex, or the message will shock or upset your audience. You might be tempted to send these communications in an email, but these are situations when email is the absolute worst method of communication.
Why? I would just think it's easier to send an email.
Easier at first, yes. But face-to-face, you can observe their body language and adjust your message. For example, if they look confused, you can rephrase. If they have a question, you can answer. If they seem disturbed, you can have a two-way conversation and hopefully reduce the negative response.
I hadn't thought about that. Are there any other reasons why I shouldn't send an email?
Yes, the most important one. Email is not confidential or private. You do not want to send sensitive information in an email. You never know where the message will end up. It can easily be forwarded along to other people. Also, email can be subpoenaed in court. The last thing you want is your email going viral on Twitter as part of a huge scandal.
Yep, I've seen that happen before. I've seen people get fired for something that they wrote in their email. Well, my team uses online collaboration in Microsoft Teams. I've heard people say that it's best to use chat tools like Teams or Slack for quick messages among your team and to use email for external messages or more formal communication. Maybe I should just skip email altogether.
As tempting as it is to skip email, it's here to stay. According to research by the Grossman Group and the LCWA, email is still considered a very valuable form of business communication. But we can limit the number of emails we send by using alternative communication methods, like chat or phone calls. Often this depends on the preferences within a company culture.
But let's say the email is appropriate. What should I consider?
I'm glad you asked. In this course, we're going to identify best practices to use when sending an email and discuss and apply the 4 C's of good writing.
Aren't those rules pretty straightforward? Don't type your email in all caps.
Yes, that's one of the guidelines, but there are quite a few more. We'll explore more of those in the next lesson.